This is a long time coming.
Yes, it has been, exactly.
Sharing the stage together and being in Sweden is a big deal.
My first time, and I'm really glad I made it here.
We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you, thank you.
And to have this film is also is a really special treat to have the European premiere of it in the festival.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Why has it taken it so long for anybody to tell Billy Preston's story? An incredibly complicated figure, a guy with demons, but with a hard relationship with himself. It makes sense. He's a complicated guy. But what made you go, we have to get on board this and tell this story?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. Well, from the perspective of the producers, we felt that Billy Preston is one of those personalities in the music world who was, one of the most famous people nobody ever heard, because of the circumstances of when he was at his height in the 70s, and his ultimate problems with drugs and the sexual abuse charges and the like. His talents and his notoriety really became hidden. And so we felt it was really necessary to be able to kind of bring him back to life, to be able to place him back into that historical period that he so mightily impacted, and to give everybody who loved him the way they did the opportunity to kind of explain why he was one of the most influential musicians and personalities from that era. And then the other part was just what you had said. We felt that his story was a perfect way to reveal the notion of that existential problem of someone who is a brilliant, talented genius, but whose personal demons, kept bringing him down. And we felt that that was a story of the human condition that really had to be told, and it was to be telling it through the prism of his incredible life.
I mean, he reminded me of Prince in some ways.
Yeah.
Like, there's a really great line in a book about Prince that I read. He said that one of his band members said the music just flowed through him. Yeah. It never really turned off.
Yeah.
And as he said, you could just hear a song and know the trends, the changes in the chords without thinking. So he was really about music. How do you go about it while you're watching cuts? I know very well how we work at CMP and how we do all this.
Yeah.
We're watching cuts. We're seeing the film evolve. How do you come in and say, we have to have this music to show this part of his life, this chapter? How do you decide? How do you work with the director like Paris Barclay and Nigel, the other producer? How do you work together on that to get it right to express what you just said?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it starts with choosing a director like Paris Barclay, whose life actually kind of mirrors in some way Billy's life. He too was a gay black man in a period when it was not accepted to be that, and so he in some way suffered much of the kinds of stigma and issues that Billy did. So that resonance was there. And then the other part of it was recognizing, and this is the really difficult part, we had such an embarrassment of riches in terms of the music and the kind of talent he was. There was so much to work with, and so many people, from Clapton to Ringo Starr to Mary Clayton, all of whom wanted to talk about him because they loved him so much, and it was their way of coming back. That piecing it together became the real challenge. And actually, you know, because you were there when we were going through the cutting. The film had to evolve in a way from too much to kind of maybe what was the right amount, and it's hard to know. But that was really hard, being able to figure out how much can you tell without overkilling it, and yet there's so much that you want to put in. We could have made a 10-part series, I think, about Billy Preston and the music and the context in which he played.
He's just so well loved.
Yeah.
People had such an emotion for him, and wanted to bring him into every record that they were doing, because he was just a complete genius in what he was doing.
Yeah, I felt that this movie only touches upon the things. For example, there was a movie that came out about Saturday Night Live just recently, about a year ago, and that's the first time that so many people realized that it was Billy Preston who was the very first musical talent. Even though we put it into the movie, those kinds of things just were not known about him afterwards. At the time, he was doing so much, and people were recognizing him there, but not in the way that he should have been recognized. That's
what I felt. That this guy's story, he's a bit like 20 Feet from Stardom. There's this background to a musical chapter of musical history that is so important, but we're just left out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
And he fills a huge gap of, some of the songs that he even imagined made the Beatles songs even better.
His original music was incredible. His covers of others' music was really incredible, better than the originals, and he just kept doing that. And then, of course, his work on the keyboards could, as Clapton says, bring other music alive in a way that the musician or the writer never could have expected to get there. And so, that's why, and that's why I think we who make documentaries love to make them, because you are bringing back a piece of history. What we're hoping is that when this movie goes out into full distribution, which it will be very soon, that in addition to the people who knew who Billy Preston was and loved him for that, there would be people who had no idea who he was. They want to hear a story, and they come out in the documentary, and then they find out just how incredible he was in the historical context.
That's what I want to get to after I go to the audience and get some questions. But I have other things about the distribution and the landscape now around music documentaries. It's a long discussion. Are there any questions? Anybody have? Yes, hi, in the corner. We got a mic coming for you.
Hi there.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I was very touched. It's really moving film, and at the end I was crying when he with this song.
It does. It really kind of brings you back.
Yeah, really. But I just want to know, how long have you worked with it? How long did it take for you to do this?
Yeah, this movie has had its own saga. It took about 2 years for the original, for us to complete the film, to take it into production. As you can tell, we had a lot of interviews of very famous and popular artists and performers, and just kind of getting those interviews in place literally all over the world took a time. The editing process in this was a challenge. It was a significant challenge because there was so much material. So that was a big part of it. The film actually premiered in the U.S. at a festival, South by Southwest, in 2023, but we immediately were slapped with a lawsuit by one of the persons in the film who felt that it was distorting much of his life, falsely alleged as far as we're concerned. And the litigation ultimately went away. Everything was successful, but it took us a good 6 months to get through that. And so the journey of the film didn't really end when the film was finally completed. We had to then go through about another 6 months or 9 months to get to this point where we are now going into full theatrical distribution and hopefully into other platforms as well. So yeah, it's had a long life, and we think it actually was better for the film. We didn't want to rush it out, because we were dealing with a story that is evergreen. We didn't have to worry about, it would be stale if we didn't get it out. We didn't want to rush it. We wanted to make sure the film truly captured those aspects and elements of his life that we hope it does.
It's a great question. And the suit, I read about the lawsuit, and I was like, most music documentaries get made because you get the estate on board or the family on board to tell the story, but people gloss over the stuff that isn't pretty.
Yeah.
It ends up just being a hagiography of someone's life.
Yeah.
This film does confront the issues.
Yes.
It talks about what's good and bad about a person, which is a full picture of the artist. So like this was kind of a ridiculous
Yeah, oh, it was. I mean,
thing to pull on the film.
We felt it. So we did get. I mean, just the estate, the family estate, was very much on board from the movie from the beginning. In fact, provided us many of the archives that have never been seen before. You saw the Ray Charles Foundation, everybody we needed to get in place was on board from the very beginning. At the end, it was somebody. It was Joyce Moore, who was his manager at the end, who felt that we played into as she called it, the myth of his homosexuality too much. Of course, as even she says in the movie, everybody knew he was gay, but it was never talked about. And she, having gone through kind of her own born again, revival, felt that it was maligning his character, when we actually felt that it was celebrating who Billy Preston really was. And so we had to work that out. And, again, in this time, you would not expect that to be an issue for anybody. But of course, you never know who you're dealing with. So yeah.
It's a huge tangle of webs to unpick. But, But I'm glad you got through it and the film survives. Are there more questions from the audience? Oh, of course, Johan in the front row. I've got a microphone for you here.
Sorry, I didn't get. Okay. I just wondered, was it mere accusations, or was he convicted for the sexual abuse?
Was he conflicted? Is that what you said?
Convicted.
Oh, convicted. Oh, well, he pled. The allegations, he was charged with it, and rather than go through a trial to be convicted, he pled to the charges so that he was put on probation. So, if you will, legalistically, he was never convicted of anything, but he absolutely did acknowledge it. I should say that he acknowledged it in terms of the courtroom charges. He didn't fully acknowledge it, publicly acknowledge it, and there was a scene in there where when he was kind of going through his 12-step program and like where he really did admit to it. And he did. It wasn't just one. He had a series of confrontations with the authorities over that. A lot of it was, remember, we're going back to the 70s where in the United States, for sure, many states had these very archaic laws about activity like that. So, for example, simply soliciting somebody in a public place in some states could be charges of sexual assault, which would today be considered dating. So you have that kind of part of it. But there is no question that he did hang with younger men or boys who were under the age, and I think that's really what caught him.
Good question.
Yeah.
Anybody else got a question? Oh yeah, sure, Mas. Go ahead.
Yeah, great documentary, and that's coming from someone that knows nothing about Billy Preston. So
great! You're the kind of person we want to hit. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I was very captured. So that's great stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And a technical question: the footage from Apple Studios, the black and white stuff with Preston and the Beatles, was that from the archives of Apple Records? And was that a new transfer, or was it just old footage that was AI fixed? Because I was looking at it and thinking it looks good, but it looks weird at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm just so curious.
There's a mix of both actually in there. So there was some that came directly from Apple Records and from George Harrison's estate. Olivia Harrison, who's in the film and is also an executive producer, was very, very helpful in being able to bring much of the Beatles and the Apple archives to us. But because of that, there was, in terms of what we can do with it, to, if you will, to kind of restore it in a way, it was really a challenge because of the materials that were in it. It was truly raw materials.
16 millimeter.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but very much in its raw state. Yeah,
it was also it felt like a documentary about footage. It all changed over the years from TV to 16 to 35 to HD.
Yeah.
It was like you're tracking the entire
you
progression of media.
It's really true. You're kind of seeing the evolution of film and cinema in this movie.
That's how long his career was.
That's right.
They flew together very well.
It was beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Didn't feel any.
The editors and the cinematography, they were incredible. It was an incredible crew that worked on this film. And you could see a lot of people involved. It was a long crawl with credits because there were just so many people working on it.
And I know that CMP does love a good music doc, that's for sure.
We do.
It is the best vehicle to deliver a social message and to talk about important cultural issues that can't be otherwise talked about.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about there's a new film you have coming out, which is very exciting, and I think it's going to be quite a big one. Tell us a bit about the Lilith Fair film.
Yeah, actually, so Lilith Fair, I don't know how well known it was here in the United States, but back in the 90s, when the music industry was extremely misogynistic and very much male-dominated, there were a number of women performers who were really sort of coming into their own. People like Sarah McLachlan, Tracy Chapman, Jewel. You even had people like Alanis Morissette and you name it. There are so many, but there was a sensibility within the music industry that women could not be headliners. They couldn't carry a concert tour, a profitable concert tour on their own. And a group of women, really led by Sarah McLachlan, decided that they wanted to debunk this by organizing a all-female, all-women concert tour that went through the United States 1997, 1998, 1999. And literally every major and up-and-coming female musician played at some point in the Lilith Fair concerts. And they turned out to be not only the most profitable concerts of that era. That was the era of the big concert tours where they'd go throughout the country and 20, 30,000, 40,000 people at a time would be at the venues. It was the most profitable, but it also had a huge impact, not only on the audience, made up of a lot of young women and young men who were these were their first concerts they ever heard. It also had a major impact on the music industry. In the beginning, it was very negative impact. The critics, the music critics and the music trade journals just lambasted these tours as, lesbian. They were lesbian-based tours that were all about, being anti-male, and it was sort of played out that way. Ultimately, and it was because, from the audience perspective and from the performer's perspective, this was truly a sign of women empowerment at a time when that was still very much a challenge. Although so incredibly popular and profitable, the Lilith Fair phenomenon, those 3 years of Lilith Fair, faded into the background in very much the same way that Billy Preston did. Lost to the history of music. And so, with the help of Sarah McLachlan and others, we have decided to make a movie that brought back Lilith Fair to the zeitgeist. And the movie will be premiering. What are we in? We're in September now, right?
Tomorrow's September.
Okay, tomorrow's September. On September 7th, the movie will be premiering at the Toronto Film Festival. September 13th. A week later, the movie was bought by Disney. ABC Disney is the platform. A week later, it will have its U.S. premiere in Los Angeles. That will be not only a screening of the movie, but also a concert where many of the women who performed in Lilith Fair, Sarah McLachlan and others, will be performing, as well as a number of performers, stars today, people like Brandi Carlile and Olivia Rodrigo. These are people who young women who are saying, if it weren't for Lilith Fair, they wouldn't be here today. And so they're doing that, and then hopefully the movie will be on the Disney platform, and there are some plans for it to be brought out into theatrical releases as well. So we're very excited about it, and we hope it has to the music industry, the music industry component of women performers, what this movie does for Billy Preston, to bring them back into the zeitgeist.
I mean, it's just so important to have these kind of films that energize people to understand that you can come together, you can make change, and you feel so separated from each other when it comes to fighting issues that need to be fought. And this doc is, I'm glad it's coming out, because I feel like there's a moment now in documentary where we're kind of just seeing things be a bit samey, a bit flat. They can't be eventized.
Yes.
There's a lack of depth in them in some way.
Yeah.
And this Lilith Fair film and Billy Preston show that there is a way to do both.
Yeah.
And make it fun.
You know, we feel it's important to celebrate the pioneers. And in fact, music so often is kind of leading the way. In the case of Lilith Fair, clearly these performers were leading the way for a change in the way we listen to music and who we're listening to music from. And certainly Billy Preston had a huge influence on the music we listened to and how we took it in. So yeah, I agree.
We have time for one more comment or question from anybody. Who wants to jump in? No? Anybody?
Sure.
I just want to know the financial situation. How is it? Is it easy peasy or how? Or
You're saying the financial situation?
Yes, for a film like this or for the
It is not easy peasy.
Yeah.
Just towing the camera. Yeah.
Well, that's a great
Thank
question. So the short answer is that these movies are actually costly to make, obviously, in part because the archives are so expensive, and then the editing process. So they are hard. They're financially they are challenges, and that's why you have so many people involved in this to help sort of bring it along. On the sales side, this movie we have had a difficult time getting it sold because of the complications I was talking about before. Ultimately, we think that this is going to be a very successful film. Lilith Fair, again, we were very fortunate because we had a very major. That too was an expensive film to make. These films tend to be on the high spectrum of cost for documentaries. We felt that it was important for us to spend the money to make Lilith Fair, for example, in the same way as Billy Preston. We wanted to make it the best possible film, and that meant putting ourselves out. In the case of Lilith Fair, it's a successful sale to a major streamer, where it's going to get not only the visibility that we were hoping for from that kind of a platform, but also from the revenue that it'll produce, which will then help to enhance others to make movies like this. So music docs, if they're made right, and you have the right people that you're making the movie about, and you put it out there, they can be financially successful as well as impactful.
It's a really good question, because right now, we were talking about yesterday how we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow when it comes to this industry.
The interesting thing, and we've had many, many talks about this, the major platforms, the Netflix and Amazon and Apple, all those big streamers, they are sadly very narrowly focused in the kinds of movies that that they're interested in. And it is in the genre of music, celebrity, pop culture, and true crime, which is a very narrow. I mean, it's way too narrow. What we at CMP, because we make movies on a very wide spectrum. Music is just a slice of it. But when we are making a movie about what we consider to be really important issues that need to be told. We try to make them in a way that it will be also commercially interesting to the buyers. So we call it spinach in a donut, where we try to stick the themes into something that is attractive from a commercial standpoint. And that's the way documentaries have to be made right now, sadly.
It's not the way God planned it.
It's not the way,
There's
certainly
other
not the way
ways to
we
do
planned
it.
it.
Other ways to do it.
Yeah.
So I'll close by saying one thing that, for me, having watched hundreds of music documentaries, I think always the really good sign of a good music doc is, like Matt said, I've never heard of this person before. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, that's the highest compliment we can get.
Yeah, you become a fan of the person. Oh, I'm convinced this guy's a great musician. Why haven't I known it before? And you dig into the music and you become a new fan of someone's legacy and their imagination. So mission accomplished.
The best thing that can happen is somebody says, I'm going to go put together a playlist of Billy Preston because I want to hear everything. So, yeah.
I hope you all have a
And I want to thank all of you, and especially you, for having our film here at this festival. It's a great place. I am personally very excited to be able to have come here. But also, I think this is the kind of festival that we want this movie to be in. And thank you for putting it together.
My pleasure. Thank you for picking all the way out from the U.S. to come and present the film. It really means the world to me and to our audience. So,
and I hope maybe when it's going to go into distribution, we'll provide you the information and you can help put out the word to it.
Absolutely, and all of you too. Docs live by word of mouth. So tell your friends and spread the word. It would be great to have your support. Thanks again, and thank our guest Steve Cohen, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.